Hello everybody. In this video I'm going to model the crank for our model engine. And when I do this I'm going to start by creating the counterweight right here, and then from that I'm going to model the shaft coming down from there. So in this we have a center point which is going to be right there, and a lot of our measurements for our part are going to be coming off of that. So I'm going to use that point right there for my origin. The first thing we want to make is our circle, or our outside sketch, which has a radius of 0.625 or a diameter of 1.25. And then to create this flat line right there, we can see that it is 1/4 of an inch below that. So let's go to Fusion 360, create a new sketch. And I'm going to put this on my X and Y. My center diameter circle is going to have a diameter of 1.25. The print calls out for radius of 0.625, and if you don't want to do that math in your head, you can use Fusion 360. So I will type in 0.625, and I know that your radius is half of the diameter. So to get your diameter from your radius, you multiply by 2, and that will get us our 1.25 inches. Now that horizontal line underneath, I'm going to just click and drag and make a line. We'll come back and trim that later. If I want to dimension it, I can hit D on the keyboard for a shortcut and come from our origin and click on that horizontal line. And that horizontal line is 1/4 inch, 0.25 down from our origin. And the next thing I want to do is I want to create 2 circles for these corners right here. And these I'm going to make tangent to this bottom line right here, as well as our circle. I'll go back and I'll check and make sure that everything's checking out to spec. So we create our center diameter circle. On the print it reads that it's a radius of 0.125, or again double that, which is 0.25. We have one circle there, and another circle over here. I'll create a tangent constraint between that circle and that line, as well as this circle and that line there as well. What we can do then is we can go through and we can trim away any unwanted lines and double check that all of our constraints stay in place. If you accidentally do something like what I just did, where I accidentally deleted my entire circle, what you can do is you can either use the undo trim up there, or you can use the Control-Z keyboard shortcut. I'll go back to the print, and we're just going to double check that going from our center point right here to the center of that circle is 0.484, and then going from this bottom line up to there is 0.125. So I'm going to inspect that, go from our center point right there to the center of that, and we can see right here in our position X, it is a distance of 0.484. So that one checks out, and then I'm also going to inspect from there to there, and that is a position of, or a distance of 125. All right. So the next step that I want to do is I want to extrude this and give this some thickness. So on here, if we take a look at it, this is 0.24 going down. So we'll finish that sketch. I'll hit extrude, click on that, and it is going to be a distance of 0.24. And when I do this, I'm going to be going down. So I'll do a negative 0.24. We'll press OK. So there we've got our first portion of it. Next thing I want to do is I want to drill, or I want to create this hole right here. And that is a 1032 threaded hole. So here we have 1032 threads, and it's going to go down 0.187. And then what we'll do is from this bottom line right here in the center of our part, we are going to have this hole going up 0.438. So let's head on over to Fusion, and I'm going to select my Create hole tool. And what I need to do is kind of follow the prompts that we have here. So the first thing I need to select is my face or sketch points. So I'm going to start right there. And what I'll do is I can snap on that point and it'll start from that origin, which is the center of our circle. However, it is 0.438 away from the bottom edge, so I'm going to select my reference and select that bottom line right there. And I'm going to type in 0.438. From there, what type of hole is it going to be? Well, this is going to be a simple hole. Next up, we have our hole tap type. Is it going to be a simple, which would just be like a drilled hole, or a clearance? We are going to be selecting our tapped. The thread offset is going to be a full, and our drill will have an angle in there. Now, according to our prints, remember we need to have a 1032 tapped hole that is 0.187 down. So I'm going to come over to Fusion 360. And my depth is going to be 0.187. And I'm going to continue to scroll down. My size is going to be a number 10, which is actually 0.19. And my designation is going to be a 1032. So when you have that in, you press OK. And now we have our hole cut in there for our threads. The next step that we want to do is, if we take a look at Fusion again, we can see that we have our top here has a chamfer. So what I'll do is I am going to put a chamfer in there. So that is going to be under Modify. And our chamfer is going to be a 10th thou chamfer. I'm just going to select this top edge right here and type in 10th thou or 0.01, and that'll pop in that chamfer for us, just like that. The next thing that I want to do is I want to model this portion right here. So what we'll do is we will flip this over and we will extrude this rod coming out, and then we will sketch on the little end right there. So our rod is going to be in the center of our weighted end right here, and the entire length, so we have 0.24 to that, we have 0.74 to that one right there, and 0.74 minus 0.24 is actually 0.5. So what we can do is we know that from there to there is 0.5. So we'll go back to Fusion 360. We'll flip it over, and what we will do is we will put a sketch on that back face right there. I'm going to use a center diameter circle, and I am going to make a diameter of 0.375, and I know that it's 0.375 from this dimension right here. From there to there is 0.375. So then I'll finish that sketch, and I want to extrude up 0.5. And again, that 0.5 was found from subtracting this 0.24 from 0.74 is equal to 0.5. Now, to figure out the distance from this line here to the end of our part, we're going to take 0.99 and subtract from that 0.74, and we wind up with a dimension of 0.25. So, to be able to do that, I'm going to create a sketch on the bottom of our part right there on that plane. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to create another circle on there that has a diameter of 0.375. Now that is going to be the exact same size as that, but we need to be able to use that to trim some things later on. And on this bottom here we have a small circle on the inside that has a diameter of 0.355, and we will be putting a circle on top of there that has a diameter of 0.375. We'll pattern that around, and after we extrude cut that, what we'll do is we will put some fillets on there. So I'm going to go back to Fusion. I will create a circle that has a diameter of 0.355 and create another circle from the center point, bring it up a little bit, and it has a diameter of 0.375. Now, just because I snapped it to that center point doesn't mean that it's actually constrained there. So to make absolute sure that we constrain it, I'm going to select a horizontal or vertical constraint and make sure that I've got the center point of that circle highlighted, come down and select that center point right there. So that's my first constraint, but I can still move it up and down. So I'll select that circle and I want to make it tangent to the inside circle, not the outside circle, but the inside circle right there. So then, after we do that, what I'm going to do is I am going to create a pattern of this going around. So we'll create a circular pattern, and I want to select that circle. And for my center point, I want to select the center right there. It defaults to it defaults to 3, but we'll go back to the print, and you actually have 9 of them. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 going around. Go back to Fusion, and all I have to do is change that quantity from 3 until 9. So we'll press OK then. My circles will go in there, and now I come through and I trim out everything that I don't need. So we'll take away the large portions first, and after we have that done, I'm going to come on in and start trimming this away. So we have it come up to the top. So these ones, what I want to do is I want to, where we have the circles going around, I want to trim away the top of that, but I want to leave those. And we just keep going around, making sure that we trim away the parts that we don't need. And then finally, we go to the print and we have fillets of 0.0625. So I will select our fillet, which is our modifier right there. And at every point, all I have to do is just click on that point. And I'm adding all of these fillets at once before I put in my dimension, and then after I put in my dimension and hit enter, everything will be automatically updated. So put all those in, and the dimension is 0.0625, and there we have our sketch. So then what we'll do is we'll finish that sketch, and I am going to extrude that out. Select all of your areas, and we'll extrude that out. It's not going to be a new body, we want to join that, and it is going to be extruded up 0.25, just like that, and there we have our finished crank going around there. Actually, I did forget, we have one last part. We have our chamfer on this bottom right here. That is a 45-degree angle with a point or a 10th thou chamfer. And how we can do that is we just go to our modify, go to chamfer. I can select this top face, type in a 0.01 or a 10th thou, and there we have our 10th thou chamfer. So when you're done with modeling this, make sure that you show your instructor, and then you can move on to your cam.